Hey there, and welcome back to Utility Sports. We have some kind of breaking news. Xavien Howard is looking more and more likely that he is traded. Now, I think a trade will get done before the actual season starts. I think it's very possible that, maybe during training camp, a team pulls the trigger for a deal for Xavien Howard. There's a lot of teams that will be bidding for his services, obviously having a top tier corner talent like Howard on the market potentially for a trade. Now, the Miami Dolphins, this is nothing new to them. They have not been afraid to trade a star player, right in the peak of their prime. We saw Minkah Fitzpatrick with that same thing. They were not afraid to trade him. They dealt him to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, Minkah Fitzpatrick is not where Xavien Howard is currently when they had dealt him. But I mean, Minkah really ascended into a star once he got to Pittsburgh. But right now, Xavien Howard is a true star here for the Miami Dolphins. Let's take a look at his stats to kind of show how you can back up that information. He has 10 interceptions. He had 20 passes defended this past season, which also led the league. So he's just a really, really impressive cornerback. He has all the physical traits. He is very, very instinctual as a corner. There's a lot to like about his game. He's a tough player. He's a guy that's willing to grind out wins. Obviously, I think that Miami is not going to sell cheap. Now, I guess you have to basically ask yourself, who is going to be willing to pay for him, whether it's draft compensation and possibly a new contract. That's something that we do need to consider in all of this. Taking a look at his contract information, you'll kind of see it here. Definitely, he had signed that 5-year, $75 million contract. So that was kind of the crucial part of that deal. Maybe a contract gets reworked. It really depends on what they want to do. I guess we'll have to see. So something that I do want to take a look at now is some of the potential teams and fits, right? So that's what we're all curious about. And I'll kind of go one by one and show some of the teams that could be potentially, going for his services. Just give me 1 second here as I take a look at the current depth charts of these teams. So number one, I think the New York Jets are definitely involved in talks. I don't know how likely it'll be for the Miami Dolphins to trade in division with the New York Jets. But let's take a look at the corners. Bless Austin, Bryce Hall. There's a lot of issues in that secondary in terms of you don't have proven corners. You have some interesting prospects like Lamar Jackson, UDFA. You have Guidry as well, who is a UDFA, really, really explosive athlete. Now, I don't know if the Jets are going to be that team that ultimately goes ahead and deals for him, but I would not put it past Robert Saleh to make a move like that, do something bold, because we've looked at this team as a whole. I mean, they're coming together finally, slowly but surely. Now, the next team I want to talk about is the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Arizona Cardinals are definitely a squad that you have to consider in all of this. Why? They have a little bit of issues at that cornerback spot. So take a look at what they have. They have Malcolm Butler. They have Byron Murphy Jr., Darqueze Dennard, Robert Alford. They have some solid veterans in there, but I think long-term you'd be looking for a better option than what they have. I think you can get by with a season with these guys, but ultimately you want to keep upgrading your roster. They've tried to do a nice job. They drafted Zaven Collins. They also drafted Isaiah Simmons as well. They brought on veterans like J.J. Watt. They already have Chandler Jones in the mix currently. So this defense is pretty good, but I think you can still upgrade. Potentially Xavien Howard really shakes up that defense and makes it look a lot better. Kind of looking at the salary cap numbers on those two teams. The Jets have 25 million, the Cardinals have 11. So Jets are a more likely destination considering the salary cap situation that they currently sit in. Now, the next team I want to talk about, the Minnesota Vikings, a team that I think is very, very close to being in that true contention. Reason being, they're getting a lot of guys up front, either back or they had signed. Delvin Tomlinson was a signing. Michael Pierce, they're getting back after he opted out last year. Cam Dantzler is going to be a nice corner this year. They already have Patrick Peterson on a 1-year deal. So I think this is kind of an interesting roster. They definitely can upgrade at that corner spot if you don't feel like Cameron Dantzler's ready for a full season of actually playing. I think he is. I think he can be that true outside guy, but bringing in a guy like Xavien Howard really, really opens things up for you. Cam Dantzler was really impressive, though, I have to say. However, I think the Minnesota Vikings are really close. Mike Zimmer loves his cornerbacks. He's very, very key in on drafting them. He loves to take them. He's been hit or miss with them. He's had a couple of misses though, for sure. Really, really tough. Obviously, with some of the injuries that they had last year, I think that's why they just weren't that team. Obviously, they were playing a lot of 500 ball. So ultimately, I think the Minnesota Vikings are close to being, a actual contender in that NFC. But once again, if you get a guy like Howard, you really increase your chances in that secondary. I mean, you already have Harrison Smith. Xavier Woods is going to be kind of an interesting addition for this team. With the loss of Anthony Harris, I think that makes it a little tougher for them. And then the final team that could be really interesting for storyline purposes, the Dallas Cowboys. Reason being, Dallas needs another outside corner, another guy that can be, a true shutdown guy. Xavien Howard is very, very versatile too. But looking at the Dallas Cowboys, you can put him and Trayvon Diggs in the same secondary, feel pretty good about it. KZ is going to be a nice reclamation project for the Dallas Cowboys. KZ's had a lot of injuries in his career, unfortunately, but I think he is a phenomenal fit in that Dallas Cowboys secondary, and they just need more bodies out there in general. Now, the problem with this is they only have $5 million of cap. So they're going to have to really do some renegotiations, reworking, restructuring, cutting guys to make it work. However, if you are the Dallas Cowboys and feel like you can truly win that division, I think you go ahead and pull the trigger and do it. Now it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Sometimes the Cowboys are really aggressive. So I would not be shocked if they try to make a move, try to clear the money up. Obviously, they made a move during the draft and taking a guy like Micah Parsons to ultimately open up for cutting one of the other linebackers on their roster, whether it was Van Der Esch, whether it was Jalen Smith, or trading them. I think that's what they were trying to do with that, is to kind of hedge against, all right, we have to open up some more money. But the problem is, if you're bringing in a guy like Howard, he's going to be expensive. But I thought that was kind of an interesting potential addition. Now, once again, I do want to preface, I do think there are other destinations, but I just wanted to kind of bring up these four potential destinations, teams that might make sense, that might work, or, teams that should try to make it work regardless. Obviously, I think all these teams could be potential fits, but there are definitely other ones in the league. This is not an all-inclusive list. So I want to say thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate the support. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. Also, leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you guys in our next video.